Okay, good morning, guys. We got a little change of scenery today. So here we are in the year of our Lord 2024, 2024, February, what is this, 4th of a new year. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day outside, even though it's about 30 degrees outside. And got to tell you, I had a fantastic weekend this yesterday, fantastic Saturday yesterday. It is con season is going. There's been conventions up in Hurricane, West Virginia. There's been a few other little cons already right off the bat. And yesterday I went to Charlotte MiniCon, and it's 47th year, which is amazing. Charlotte Heroes Con, yes, that is cats. The cats are in the area. Charlotte Heroes Con, MiniCon, is ran by Heroes Aren't Hard to Find, Sheldon Drum, who does uh, the big Heroes Con in the summer. It's fantastic. It was a fantastic little convention. It really blew my mind. I've been to it years ago. Um, and to go back there, I really underestimated what was going to be there. Me and my buddy Josh is out there probably watching. Uh, Eventually here this morning, he'll jump on here. It's still early, but he got out there and he went with me, and we got in line. We had Big Daddy's burgers for lunch. Hit a McKay's, which is a fantastic store where you can get records. You take your old stuff, you put it in there, they resell it. It's a huge secondhand shop where they have records, games, books, graphic novels, comic books, everything you can think of. And it's actually really what amazes me is the bulk of what they had. They're able to really have it where you can find things without a problem. Okay. So so one of the things that I'm really have to be paying attention to is I feel like I may not go back to another convention until Heroes Con in the summer. But no, we know how that goes. I'll probably wake up at 6 in the morning and start driving the morning of a convention. So Charlotte Comic Con is coming up. That is different than the MiniCon, Charlotte MiniCon. This is the one I've gotten mixed up in my head with it. Hey, good morning, Sumerian. People are rolling in now, right? So we have that coming up. We ever get a bunch of these flyers. That's March 24th next month. We have Hickory Con coming up. I don't think I've ever been to this one. It's in Hickory, North Carolina. That is a little bit more of a drive for me. That's coming up. You can look all these up on Facebook and stuff. Concord Mini Con. This is the one that I go to that I get confused with the Mini Con I just went to. That is in May, coming up May 4th. So they're going to have a May the 4th be with you theme, apparently. All great conventions if you're in the North Carolina, Virginia area. Greenville Convention Show is coming up in April. So all kinds of conventions coming up. March 10th at the Village Center, we got a Carolina Vintage Con coming up. Yeah, these are, yeah. I'm keeping these things for like years when I'm older and stuff, right? And then we have a Chris Vault Comic and Toy Show, free admission to this one, April 13th and 14th, July 13th and 14th, and September 28th and 29th. And this one is in Columbia, South Carolina. So, yeah, a lot of great conventions already scattered out throughout the year if you're in that mid-Atlantic region and stuff. And I love being able to say mid-Atlantic region because that's the wrestling I watched on Saturdays at 1 o'clock when I was a kid. And then we have the Sumter, SUMTER Comic and Toy Show, February 10th, next week. Where's this at? Sumter, South Carolina, Super Bowl weekend with some of the best vendors of South Carolina. So, yeah, there you go. This one's coming up. That'll make that one. So last week, what things happened, man. I had to go to an optometrist appointment, and apparently optometrists are so in demand that they stay open till Saturday nights at 7 o'clock and Sundays 1 to 5. What a mad, mad world. You know what I mean? So I went to Bristol last week and looked around and went to a Goodwill. I ate at a place called Burger Bar, which is a very old establishment. You can look it up on State Street in Bristol, Virginia /Tennessee. The Burger Bar has fantastic burgers, of course, as you say, Parmesan fries, a lot of other things going on there, but it is famous because it is supposedly the last place that Hank Williams Sr. ate before he died. So I was able to hang around State Street a little bit, get a little coffee. Actually went to the library, looked at the graphic novel, went to a Goodwill in town in Bristol, and actually went to a comic book shop. So I'll show you what I picked up for the cheap, which has amazed me. Oh yeah, and then I went to they have a record store on State Street that I'm blanking out on right now. So this one thing did not come from the Goodwill store, right? But anyway, I had to pick this back up. I don't know if you guys remember 1988 slash 89 going in there, right? But this is GNR Lies. This is a little album they put out. Of the first half of the album is a 4-song EP that they did before they had the record deal, and then they had 4 new songs on here. Did one video called Patience, had a little controversy with it stuff, right? So 86 and 88, this is in between Appetite for Destruction, while they were working their way up to Use Your Illusion, that would come out 2 or 3 years later to satiate the fans and everything like that, right? I actually had the white t-shirt that was this cover. When you take out the cover, I would love to start doing videos where I take one album, one CD, show it off, and talk about my memories with the music and stuff, right? So anyway, you would fold this out, you know. So a t-shirt I had when this came out, it was a white t-shirt, but it had this on the front, and then it had this on the back, and my mullet was strategically placed where it covered up the covered up woman here and stuff, right? But yeah, this is part of the fun of having the physical media back then and stuff. The art direction they would do with the inserts and the covers and things like that was fantastic. It's no wonder that music became more part of the culture than anything probably over the last 70 years due to the extras that came with it to try to get you to sell and market it towards you with innovation, art. I mean, go look at a Yes album from the 70s. Then at the Goodwills, hold on now, you ready for this, right? Kingdom Come, got this for I think $1.99, which blew my mind considering it's a Goodwill. Kingdom Come, they had a few good songs. Get It On, What Love Can Be. Let me see if there's any more. They had 2 albums come out pretty close to each other. They even made it to a Monsters of Rock tour. They were on their way up. And one of the reasons they became sort of popular there for, if you blinked, you missed it, was because they had this Led Zeppelin-like sound, right? Heavily influenced by Led Zeppelin. And then the interview came out where the press was trying to talk to them about it. And I believe it was the guitar player said, I've never even listened to a Led Zeppelin album. And they dropped like a Led Zeppelin after that. If they're still playing and touring and all the years and stuff like that, more power to them. I got a kick out of them, Okay. And then this, years ago, I had the deluxe editions of the first 5 seasons of Saturday Night Live, which are the classics. They've never topped them. They came close in the 90s. They came close one other time, but the ups and downs, these are the seasons that they can't top. So I'm moving out of Roanoke, and I take a whole bunch of my DVDs and these box sets and stuff, and I trade them in at FYE to get money to move out of Roanoke, to build it up and everything like that, right? Immediately regretted it, and I've been able to get 3 seasons. Now I have 4, and I about fell down when I saw this because this thing is like brand new. The only thing wrong with it is like there's a little dent on the box. But instead of a slipcase, you get the box that opens. And when you open it, you have the DVD set, and it comes with these cards. And what's funny is the cards that I had with the original one, they still weren't attached, So a lot of great stuff, 5 disc set. And a lot of my early videos, I was really influenced with 2 or 3 skits from Saturday Night Live, and I was surprised no one ever really caught on to it. I did a lot of Chevy Chase in my original videos. So of course I went to stopped at the comic book shop, Mountain Empire Comics on State Street. Gosh, I think I wonder if this is their 40th year. Anyway, they've been there for quite a while. Probably not 40, but they're creeping up on it. Went through their stuff. Did not want to spend a lot of money because I knew this convention that I went to yesterday was coming up. So it was no big deal. But I was able to go through, and I did pick this up for, all of this I got for $2. There's things they really can't resell because it's retail. But the only book I got there is this Kingdom of the Dwarves, right? And this is by a guy named Dave Weston. Make sure I got his name. Excuse me. David Wenzel, right? So in 1989 and 90, there was a 3-issue miniseries that came out through Eclipse Comics by Chuck Dixon and this artist where they did The Hobbit, right? And I'll be talking about that later in the video and stuff, right? But this is through Comico. And this is fantastic because, like, basically, this guy just went through, did a lot of sketches, and they're explaining the life of dwarves and stuff. If you're into fantasy and Lord of the Rings and your D&D and stuff like that. So take a good look at that. Kingdom of the Dwarves. I absolutely love this stuff. Um, and in that time, I also ended up getting a bunch of promotional posters with some Mobius art on it. This was thrown in. Now, the trick here is if you go to comic book shops and stuff, they are not allowed to sell these posters for retail. These are donated to them and not for resale. Not retail, resale. So anyway, these are from the 80s. I got 3 of these, right? Just grabbed them out. I'm not going to stand up and stuff, right? We got some of that stuff. Found this fantastic little article about Anne Rice. We're interviewing her. Sensible, dramatic, author-inspired supernatural devotion. So this is all probably from like the 80s, I think, And then from the early 90s, I do keep these and collect these and wished I'd kept them all. But the DC Direct Currents that would show books that were coming out in articles and stuff, these were free that they would put in the bags, like the comic book news papers they do now, right? So I grabbed all of these for free because, they're all Vertigo related. Here's, and these are from, God, what is it? They actually have a date on it. These are Current Directs, number 60. Yes, Lester, what is it? Anyway, this is probably like 92 or 93 is what I'm thinking, because it's talking about the Death miniseries. Here's a Direct Currents where we get to talk about Sandman Mystery Theater that I have finally, completed, and I'm about a third through the entire series. Fantastic stuff from those 90s. Fantastic. You flip them over, and we have Milestone and a Superman Gallery coming out. I could probably look up and see what year these are. And like I said, when you open them up, you get a lot of great stuff. Now, the great things about these periodicals and this free stuff and these interviews and what they're talking about, they actually give dates of what's going on around the time and when these books actually came out. You can't find that on Wikipedia. Having the physical stuff is great. Here's one with Kid Eternity, which that turned into a disaster of a book, but maybe there's people out there that dig it. I don't know. And not Andesita's best stuff, just to get that out there. And then here's a little Steve Dillon with a Adam one-shot coming out at the time. And like I said, you open these up, you get great articles with what was going on, telling you about the comic books. We really didn't know what we had at the time. You know what I mean? And now, so I have a couple of those kind of saved up. And like I said, I got some more Mobius posters for the, what he was doing at the time. And then we got one specifically for Valiant, right? I'm a Valiant nut. Every now and then I get a resurgence to want to go back and get to read my Valiants and stuff like that. The Jim Shooter years from Magnus number 0 and number 1 all the way through to the end of Unity and stuff. That's the best stuff, in my opinion, before Acclaim came in and took over and they pushed Shooter out. So this is a little bit after Shooter left, probably about a year, talking about Harbinger 25. In the books that were coming out, and now that time has gone by, I'm a lot more forgiving, and I'm really wanting to go back and get books like Secret Weapon and Complete Chaos Effect and all that stuff, right? So here's their own little free thing they used to give you there to let you know what was coming out when you would go to the comic shop in person. That's fantastic stuff. So we got a lot of people here, and we are now down. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Speaking of Valiant, I have this floating around like this is an extra issue. Archer and Armstrong, the first 12 issues by Barry Windsor Smith during that fantastic era. This is fun stuff. I was flipping through this, reading it the other night. That's not new. Let me get a cup. We got cocoa this morning in our Pac-Man mug. And that is very good on this chilly February morning. There. So let's see who was all there, and then we'll get into the haul because I want to make some eggs, fried bacon, and toast this morning when we're done here. I'd invite you all over, but it's short notice, so sorry about that, guys. So we got John C. there. Morning. Oh man, let's go back. We have a lot of comments. You guys are on it. Good morning there. Sumerian jumped on there first thing this morning. Greetings and salutations. Same to you, sir. I always wish I could whistle like Axel did on Patience. I can, and we did. And I'm sorry anyway. We were all whistling that song over, so it was through a lot of practice and all of us goofing off in the car listening to the CD. I always wish I could whistle like Axel and Patience. Remember the robot blank? Yeah, the Robert Williams artist illustration you're talking about. That was controversial. I had a chance to buy that when it first came out, before it got pulled. But I was like 13 years old. Records were expensive. I don't even think I had a record player at the time anymore. But yeah, I saw that when it came out, and like I said, it like disappeared, and then you saw the cross one. And I don't think that's any kind of claim to fame or anything like that. They just put a record out that had that controversial cover. I'm sure some people around here bought it. I ran across it a few times at flea markets and stuff, and they always sell it for over $100. The little Jimmy Fireball. I don't have my glasses, guys. My glasses will be in the tent. That's why we're up here and we have me in your face. The classic SNL is so great. Absolutely, man. Yeah, absolutely. You go live and have the Munchkin riddled laundromat. Shirley Tim. Hey, man, if I could help, I did laundromats for years and I hate it. You know what I mean? I hated it. And I have spent many, many, many nights and evenings and mornings and stuff at the laundromat. You want to set up a camera. I'm hoping you're at a ghetto wall. I can't believe I'm wishing that on you, but I really hope you're at kind of a ghetto laundromat and stuff, and set up a camera. If I could have set up the camera in when I was doing all that stuff like that, it's fantastic. My favorite were the guys that would come in and they would strip down and wash the very clothes that they were wearing in the washing machine. Those were my favorites. And you always have that one guy who never really spoke to anybody, and he calmly folded his clothes, and it's like he just did one little load that fit on a backpack, and then he would walk away. Yeah, you were like, what's he doing here? You know, fantastic stuff. Hey, Gallant. Yeah, Michael, how are you doing? John C. Everybody saying good morning. Let's get through these. Yeah, we've got 2 more comments here. Hey, what was your favorite Sandman Mystery Theater arc? My favorite Sandman Mystery Theater arc. I love the early arc with the face villain that took place in Chinatown. Chinatown came first to my mind. I'm up to issue 30, but let me just a second here. Oh, let me go through. I just read one. One was a little bit heavy because a little kid got an idiot left his kid with a stranger more or less while they were living on the street. Yeah, I think the one with the mist, the one where we get with the mist in the 30s. I'm about there to reread it and stuff. I really enjoyed that one, and then I haven't really read anything past the 40s. You know what I mean? But I think the mist story in the mid 30s, Tarantula is good. Yeah, I mean, the further discussion, I reserve the right to have something randomly pop in my head and let me throw it out there. I love Sandman Mystery Theater. The Night of the Butch arc is my favorite, Tom. Absolutely, Tom. The villain is like Leatherface living in the New York sewers. Yep. Yeah, it's going to be good stuff. The thing about Sandman Mystery Theater is what I like about it is that it's not as pulpy. I mean, I've talked about it on here many times, my love for it, but it really is the story of Wesley and Diane with all this other stuff going on about their relationship going on. It's one of the few soap operas that kind of gets you, you know, that you don't even know you're reading a soap opera. All right, guys, we're going to start with the dollar box, right? So let me tell you, this convention was so rich with vendors and deals and boxes. And as always, you got those guys that jack their prices up and then they say everything's half off. There's some people from Athens, Georgia. There are some people from Baltimore there, vendors and stuff, local vendors, 1 or 2 faces I recognize and stuff, man. And when we got there, the thing was like from 11 to 5. We got down there, you know, about 20 minutes till 11 is when we got there driving, Josh and I. And, you know, a little bit of a line, not bad at all. Got straight in. They check your book bag. You walk through the metal detector, you know what I'm talking about. And then you get down there and the thing is set up great. Saw fantastic stuff. Saw one guy have all the EC Comics collections in hardback slipcases. I've seen those over the years. Saw, like I said, Heroes Aren't Hard to Find. Sheldon Drum was there. And then, like I said, all these people were lined up around the walls. Tons of books, tons of dollar boxes, $2 box, $5 box, and then big bucks, wall books and stuff. And I put back more than I actually bought. I wanted to double dip. I found like prestige format books, complete like Books of Magic from 1990. I already have a set, and that's one of my favorite books. Found that there. The Golden Age, 4 issues by James Robinson was there in dollar boxes complete. Just weird stuff. But unfortunately, I was able to slow down, and a lot of stuff I put back, like Miracle Man number 14 by Alan Moore, some really good books. When he slowed down, took them out of the bag, people had a lot of old junked comics, which is why they were in dollar books. And it's sad. I know low grade is better than no grade, but I'm like, I can't do this anymore. You know, if I want this, I want a very good collection of certain books, right? So one of the things I put off and have run across before and always kind of put back, and it's time to do it, is this book in particular. I mentioned the Neil Gaiman Books of Magic 4-issue miniseries, right? I was a senior when that came out, and Neil Gaiman did this thing where he took it was Timothy Hunter, who to me is the original Harry Potter. You know what I mean? When I saw Harry Potter come out, I was like, what is this? That's Timothy Hunter. But Neil Gaiman came up with this 4-issue prestige form, miniseries there, with fantastic painted art in each issue by different artists and stuff, right? And being 17 and reading how he pulled all of everything that's magic and DC together and made sort of a continuity. The Trench Coat Brigade showed up. You had Mr. E, you had Phantom Stranger, you had John Constantine, and Dr. Occult. And in each issue, they're taking Timothy Hunter on a tour of the magic of the DC universe, if you will, Vertigo style. And everything didn't get dark. And he put it all together to have Tim decide if he wants to be a magician or not. And this guy went freaking crazy. He started walking Timothy Hunter in the last issue towards the end of the universe to take him out, because he is blind and he's very black and white and things. I think they're trying to go Puritan with him or stuff, right? So out of that miniseries came this 4-issue miniseries about Mr. E. Mr. E had been around. I got his first appearance from like House of Secrets, House of Mystery or something. He actually hadn't been around that long, probably less than a decade, I think. And where things are Vertigo, and anything that this time was touched by Neil Gaiman, even though Neil Gaiman didn't work on this book, it flew off the shelves around here, right? And that's when I started realizing that people who were into Neil Gaiman and Sandman and anything he did weren't comic book collectors per se. These were the people that were Neil Gaiman fans that would come in and scarf up anything. But like I said, they're cheap, right? And this is actually by K.W. Jeter. No idea who that is, but John K. Snyder, fresh off of a lot of indie stuff that he was doing, and probably some I think he went on to Suicide Squad, and the guy's still around. He came in and did the art of this, right? So we have some I keep calling it Vertigo. It might as well be, but this is pre-Vertigo stuff. And this is another one of those books that helped to lead up to having Vertigo and stuff, right? So right off the bat, that's the splash page. And in a lot of these back issues and stuff that I've been buying lately, I think like Suicide Squad, some Comico stuff, I want to say some Grindel stuff. This guy Snyder is popping up a whole lot. So even if this isn't your cup of tea to read, as you can see, these books are not the decompressed storytelling, and you can just enjoy the art as well and stuff, right? So here we are. I can't believe I'm saying this. 34 years later, I finally buckle down and just grab this when it's in front of me. Long time coming. Yeah. I mean, we're having a good time now, man. This blew my mind because I thought this was just a prestige one-shot. This is an actual Marvel graphic novel, right? Death of Captain Marvel. Elric, Killraven, Greenberg the Vampire, that series of books, prestige books that would come out. This one feels smaller. I'm actually want to get off the shelf and get down there and get it smaller, but I felt like this was just one of those square-bound prestige format books they were just putting out in one-shots. But of course, I've seen this over the years. I've seen this picture over the years, but I never picked it up. So when I went to catalog it in my CLZ app, it is a Marvel graphic novel, but it's very small and stuff. But it's Bloodlust by Alan Davis and Paul Neary. Now, this came out, oh my goodness, I want to say hold on. It's $5 when it came out. 1990, right? So this is before I knew Alan Davis could write. Okay, he'd been playing around. If I remember right, he came out with The Clandestine. Years later, I would read Justice League, The Nail by him, and then Another Nail, and then Superboy's Legion, and some other things. And I'm like, holy shit, Alan Davis can write as good as he can draw. And then, of course, this guy is British, and I feel like, I don't want to give Alan Moore credit. Like, it's not like he taught Alan Davis how to write, but Alan Davis worked with Alan Moore before he came to America. You know what I mean? I'm like, he's just in that era, right? So, yeah, I picked this up when I saw this. This is Alan Davis doing a Wolverine story graphic novel, drawn and written by Alan Davis. So this will go in actually have a little section of Alan Davis written and drawn books, because he has such a unique, straightforward voice. It's like you can tell he's doing traditional comics, but he's still giving it that touch of a sophisticated edge. It's really good, really good. So hopefully that is going to be very cool. All righty. Now I want to take a break here and talk about some other things that were going on at the convention. They had Bob Hall. Bob Hall is somebody that Charleston 66 and I saw at Baltimore Con a few years ago. Bob Hall is known for a penciler. He's a little bit of a writer. He does theater outside of comics, and it blows my mind that I think he's creeping up on 80 years old. He was there. And years ago, Charleston 66 and I met him. I got some Sandman. He worked on Valiant Sandman, Shadow Man. And I got excited because one of the stories he told us while we were talking to him back at Baltimore Con those years ago was the fact of how Shadow Man was going to end. And if you were a Valiant Comics Shadow Man thing, you knew that one of the hooks was Shadow Man that I think Bob Hall brought about. I think he was the one that did it. No, that happened during Unity. Anyway, he finds out that he dies in the year, it's easy to remember, September 9th, 1999, 9999, right? And it's 1992 that he finds this out, and that made him be a bit of a wild man in his own book because he knows when he's going to die. It's not going to be in 1993, so he started like jumping off buildings and shit, throwing himself in car wrecks and stuff to catch those bad guys, whatever he was doing, right? But Acclaim took over, and Jim Shooter got pushed out by his colleagues and stuff, and Bob Hall told us the real story about how Shadow Man was supposed to end the series, and we both forgot. So I was all excited. So I got some more books by him. I got my Squadron Supreme from the 80s that he drew, and I got my trade out, of that, and had a little bit stack of books. And I get there, and this is the rant. This is what I saw at Heroes Con last year. I have no problem with somebody wanting to get paid for their signature a little bit, or I'll sell you 3 for $5 or whatever, right? If you bring a comic to a comic convention. And you longtime viewers know that I really had to force myself to change, to start letting people mark on my comic books, even if it's a signature. I know I can't help it. I see graffiti. I see a damaged book, but there's some stuff I'm glad I did get signed. That was the magic of YouTube and talking to the community and being talked to rationally, right? So I get there and I'm all excited. There's Andy Smith there. And Andy Smith worked with Bart Sears. He's got a little bit of Bart Sears stuff. He was a Valiant guy. He did some Quasar, things like that. So I had a few books, and I was like all excited. And like I said, I would have no problem. But then they had the signs up. I got up on the stage where all these creators were, and I saw the signs, and it was like $10, $20, $30, $40. And I'm just like, here we are again. These guys that, as I've talked to a few people at Heroes Con, Carl Potts, and I'm trying to think who the rest of them were. Anyway, these signs that they put on their desk, I don't know who's making them for them. They all are starting to get the same sign. And basically what it is they are pissy. It's one of the few things that I think is petty. They are pissy that they can sign a book, and then somebody who owns that book can put it on eBay and it increases the value. And people get paid. They don't get a cut of that. So they're going to get a cut now as they sign the book. Now, Rob Liefeld and all these guys with their Deadpools, the first appearance of Deadpools and stuff have been notorious about how much they charge for that. That's a different story, right? But to take a broad brush and just think that anybody that is getting a comic sign that has enjoyed your work and they're glad to meet you is going to immediately throw that thing on eBay. Number one, that's paranoia. Number two, it's none of your business because it's their property. Yes, it's your signature. You can sell your signature, but I don't like the motivation of the greed coming out because you think you're missing out on money being made with your signature that probably isn't. You know what I mean? There's people who keep their signature books. You can, and there's people. I have a few books that are personalized just to calm them down. They didn't just sign their name. They put this. They marked up my book with like "Keep reading" and "Great to meet you, Tim," and all this stuff. Write me a postcard love letter on my comic and stuff. Right? I think it's bullshit. You know what I mean? I think if you have a huge key book, I totally get charging for that. But if I'm bringing you if I'm bringing you Quasar number 50, you really think that I want to make a ton of money off your signature with that book? You know, if I'm bringing New Mutants 98 to Rob Liefeld and he signs it, yeah, I get that. You know, there's a place for it, but it's widespread and bullshit, right? So I showed up with a book bag full of comics, and I was willing to, do some donations, or, I wasn't expecting anything free. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be gratitude. I was willing to tip, but to have that expectations and I had this math problem worked out, I got to work out math in my head to figure out how to get my comic signed. Bullshit. Okay. So rant over, scene. Okay. Back to the dollar books. Okay. Yeah. Let me throw this out. Rest in peace, Carl Weathers. We lost Carl Weathers here and stuff, right, man? That hit hard, and I was so glad to see that he had lived a full life. I was really surprised to find out he was born in 1948, I think. Bob Hall, Shutters Man's awesome. Him being 80 reminds me of a great entertainment aging out and leaving us. Rest in peace, Carl Weathers. Absolutely. What we got here? Easy Comic Reader is here. Good morning. Oh, I enjoyed Shadow Man. Oh, I'm getting ready for a reread. Finally, I don't think I've read too many issues past into the 30s. The book ended with issue 42 or 43, so I got about the last year I need to finally read and catch up on. All right. Okay, so here's some more dollar books, and this cracked me up because it took me a little while to track these down through flea markets and stuff, and I had to shake my head for several reasons. Make sure we got them all together here. So anyway, we have some Marvel Comics Presents, and there's a mixed bag here, right? I am a Sam Keith fan, and this is stuff from 1990. This is his pre-Max. Max is where he blew up, right? But I found Sam Keith inking, I can't remember who the artist was, but John Ostrander and Kim Yale came out with a Manhunter book around 87 or 88, tied in a little bit with anything else John Ostrander was doing, right? And I kind of thought there's a little bit of a Grindel influence in there if you go back and look at the book, right? But the inker on it was Sam Keith. So Sandman comes out, and you see the advertisements for it, and right there in there is Sam Keith, right? So I sort of started following Sam Keith thanks to DC advertisements, and come to find out in a few of my hauls over the last couple of years, he was all over the indie market before he made it to DC, doing things like, what was it? The Hamsters book. Adolescent black belt hamsters, and he's been all over the place. Don't get me wrong, doing indie stuff, right? And then he came out the Max, but in between all of that, he came in and he worked for Marvel a little bit, doing covers and anthology stories here and there with Marvel Comics Presents. This one in particular is the Wolverine Venom story that went through a couple issues, right? This actually popped on its own organically, right? It's like people who knew, and they were getting on eBay and things, and they were grabbing these books and they were selling for a while. And I love it because it wasn't due to comic book speculation. You know what I mean? Where they stand now, I don't know. But like I said, I found them in a dollar box, so maybe it's died down, right? But anyway, this is bits and pieces of it. I have the complete set of this story already. These are upgrades, no bags. And I think the people I bought these off were from Athens, Ohio. Okay. So yeah, we have that Wolverine Venom, Sam Keith covers. Sam Keith also does the art for that particular anthology series. You can see it more clear now. And I think the thing about it is that this is an early appearance of Venom outside of the Amazing Spider-Man books at the time. Okay. He popped up in Quasar for 5 minutes. There's a Quasar book that popped for a little bit back in the day. Everybody's forgot about that. And then this came out, and then, Venom versus Wolverine. Wolverine was all over the place at the time. Yeah. Bringing back the Cloak and Dagger. Yeah. These are flip books, by the way. So now we get down to 120. Yeah. And we're still continuing here. Shades of the Max to come with this cover. If you've read the Max, looks like something that might have been in the Outback. Ghost Rider all over the place. Then you catch Ghost Rider. Yeah, here's 118. What think 117 might have been the first issue, or 118 was. Anyway, and a little Jay Lee art here with Iron Fist and Ghost Rider. Very cool stuff. And here's number 97. One of these books, two of these books have popped. And I got the one where it's thanks to the Deadpool 3 trailer. Speculators have dug through the books, and just because Wolverine is finally wearing an actual proper Wolverine costume, they went with his yellow costume, right? And Tim Truman wrote a story in one of these Marvel Comics Presents where we get the origin of the Wolverine yellow costume. So that popped. You know, and I'm just sort of like, are you kidding me? And then there's another issue. I think it's issue 99 or something where we get the origin of Wolverine, the name, right? If you think those are key books and important enough to pay for, good for you. But I'm just kind of chuckling, you know. Here's how I got my fashion design. That's where we're at with key books. I used to joke around all the time and talk about, like, we're going to go to a point where it's the first time somebody ate a cheeseburger is going to be a key book, you know, and I'm starting to believe it. You know, that used to just be a laugh and a giggle. And now I'm like, we're going to get there. You know, there's going to be some vegan character who finally eats meat. Lester, that's enough. Anyway, this might be the issue. I think this might be the issue. No, I don't think so. I don't know. Anyway, that's the issue. This is the one that's got the origin of Wolverine's costume right here. Beautiful copies. We'll get these in bags as soon as I can. More Sam Keith art on the back. Great stuff. I think issue 88, Peter David and Sam Keith started one story with Cyber or something on that. But anyway, this Marvel Comics Presents really popped and got hot because we went from Barry Windsor Smith's Weapon X books, and it carried on with Peter David coming on with Sam Keith and doing some more Wolverine stories and carried it on. That book really went places. And then you like, I mean, look at this fantastic Ghost Rider. Look at that. Oh, great stuff. So that's good stuff there. Oh, what we got going on? Easy Comic Reader. Good morning. All right. Cannot wait to get to the trades I bought here in a minute, right? So just to go on, since I've been ranting this morning, we have Death, the High Cost of Living, number 3. I got a couple copies of this miniseries, couple sets, 1 or 2 sets. So I just grabbed this for $1. It's probably definitely an upgrade, but it's also a variant, right? I found out because there's no price on the cover. So there is a variant cover for Death, the High Cost of Living, number 3, that if it does not have the price on the cover, you have the variant. Does that mean it's worth more money? I don't know. I doubt it. And then this is one of those things. There's certain books here that disappeared from my collection. There's things I don't understand. I'll be showing some stuff, right? And I actually ended up double dipping. I know I have sold comics before to my brother. I know I sold some in 2016. I know I've had a few pickups. But then you reach those points where there's a book you know you wouldn't have gotten rid of. And you don't know where it went. Did you misfile it? Did you misplace it? It's a good thing about the CLZ app because I can go back and look and see if it's even worth digging through. Where this book went, I have no idea. I cannot imagine I got rid of it, right? Because I thoroughly enjoyed it when I finally got my hands on it, because I was one of those John Byrne fans. I'm not going to, they were called Byrne victims, but I don't think I was that bad. Meaning that wherever John Byrne went, right, his fans followed him from book to book. And I think there was like a 25,000 issue increase in sales for every book he went to. Over the years, that kind of grown where somebody actually tried to, we had the conversation where they thought it was 250,000 books wherever he followed. And I just kind of let that go, you know. But anyway, I think it was 25,000 jump in sales for wherever Byrne went. His fans followed him, right? So anyway, this Marvel Fanfare came out in 1985. Yeah, 86, excuse me. Yeah, 1986. I had it right the first time, right? Oh man, that was so much good stuff was going on in comics. So I want you to think about this. This is 1986. We just came out of Crisis on Infinite Earths. We just had Secret Wars going before that. Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now we're going to have the Morlock Massacre going on. Secret Wars 2. Crisis on Infinite Earths is leading out. We were around the corner from having Legends come out. Booster Gold started a month before this. Dark Knight Returns was hitting. We were about to wind up and start having the Watchmen come out. So yeah, this was a great time. Marvel 25th issue covers were coming out. Excuse me. But I can just reminisce. Being 13 years old at this time was just a fantastic time. I think around this time, we also had like one of my favorite Avengers stories happening, the Masters of Evil Storm Avengers Mansion, which was fantastic. Roger Stern, John Buscema, and Tom Palmer. So anyway, the thing about this is that John Byrne traded books. He did not like doing Alpha Flight, which crushed me when I found out he did not like doing that book. And luckily, I found out years later. And he traded. Bill Mantlo and Mike Mignola were doing the Hulk at the time. And the Hulk came out, the Alpha Flight came out. And when they did like a mini little crossover, a very minuscule crossover there, a little more of a plot point to get the Hulk back on Earth, they traded books. And around this time, this came out, right? So John Byrne writes this story. Marvel Fanfare was a lot about experimental stories, things that were not getting published, things that were sitting around in desk drawers that were being saved for filler stories in case they needed a page count for a book, that kind of thing. So he comes in, and John Byrne did this Hulk story where every page is a splash page. Yeah. And it ties into a character named the Scourge at the time. Mark Runnels had started cleaning house of C and D list villains by having a serial killer go around that would kill them in the Scourge. And it's a big mystery who he was. And here's a early Norm Brayfogle Captain America pin up in the back. I mean, there's just a lot of fun going on at the time with this stuff. Had to get a West Coast Avengers #2, first appearance of the Blank. This is a Bob Hall issue. I went and pulled this out. Bob Hall did the miniseries with, I think, Steve Englehart. Oh, excuse me, Roger Stern. Roger Stern came on. They were, this was a fun time. These were the books that I would see people in middle school walking around with, like, where did you get that? West Coast Avengers was very hard. And we get, and it was leading up to real soon, we would be having Iron Man and his Silver Centurion armor, which I cannot wait for. Anyway, I went and got this. It's in my CLZ app, but the CLZ app saying I have all 4 issues of this, and I have no idea. And this was the early days of miniseries. This is when a miniseries came out, and it still had that magic. You know what I'm saying? Now, the 2 more books, I have no idea where they went. Why would I get rid of these, right? And I was really surprised, so I'm sure I had to sell them, right? But Jim Starlin came on the Silver Surfer, and, Cosmic Stories, Jim Starlin, it's a no-brainer. And this was leading up to Infinity Gauntlet. This is around the time where he had killed Robin, even though we voted for it. And he had the get-go. And the marketing company, the marketing part of DC or whoever owned the company or whatever, called up and said, what the hell are y'all doing? Why did you not clear this with us? Because to market Batman, you had to use Robin. And they had nobody had told them anything had changed, right? So who takes the fall for it? Jim Starlin gets fired. He goes back to Marvel. And what a strange thing, because if it wasn't for that happening, Jim Starlin wouldn't have got on Silver Surfer, brought back Thanos, did the Infinity Gauntlet, and then at that time, 19 years later, we would have the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe proper with Iron Man leading up to Infinity War and Endgame based on Infinity Gauntlet and Thanos and his character and stuff, right? So when he came on, I had the first appearance of the Infinity Gauntlet in this. I still have the first couple of issues that Jim Starlin did, all the way up to issue 50, I think. I think he hung around there after that. But I had all of those, so I get in there and I've got a ton missing. And of course, it starts with the first appearance of the Infinity Gauntlet, and where he brings back Adam Warlock with Ron Lim. So I was lucky to find these, I guess, in a dollar box. I don't know if these are key books or pricey. With me, it's just I started digging around and I'm like, where's my books? I can't see me selling these. I can't see me getting rid of Jim Starlin cosmic stuff. I mean, I have to admit, I guess I am a bigger Jim Starlin fan than I thought I was. I mean, I have Gilgamesh 2, for God's sake, by Jim Starlin. I did sell my Dreadstar collection because I just could not get through it. Not my thing. And it's a great series. It's just there's just certain things where I think I need a little bit more explanation and stuff, right? So I grabbed this and I ended up double dipping on this and stuff, right? But I know I sold my X-Men collection years ago in the 90s and stuff, right? So I kind of pick up the Jim Lee stuff here and there. I've built it back up quite a bit, right? But anyway, we have a newsstand edition and a direct edition of X-Men 274 with the Savage Land Rogue and culling up there with old Magneto and all this stuff. You know, the last great stand of Chris Claremont here. We're on the verge of that stuff, right? And then I ended up double dipping these because these disappeared from the collection. Apparently, I really enjoyed them so much that this is the second time I bought them. I could have bought some other stuff, but I wanted these. I'm sure these are upgrades and stuff, right? But Walt Simonson having the soul of Thor possess the Destroyer all day, every day. I'll buy that. And that's 381 and the Return of Thor. This was around the time of the Mutant Massacre was going on, and Loki was really messing with Thor. He cursed him to where his bones would break and they wouldn't heal. So he got this armor out to literally hold himself together. So every time he broke a bone, his bones were very brittle. They would break, and he would keep moving, and his bones were grinding. So he was in constant pain. You know what I mean? Like Walt Simonson, you know, if you slow down and really think about that, holy shit, wow. And then I really enjoyed this one. Tom DeFalco came on, Ron Friends came on, and they did a bunch of one-shot stories before they started going into Thor proper. And there's not a lot of deep stuff in there, man, but it was a fast-paced story. They were bringing in new characters, playing around with the gods, trying to give it kind of a Kirby feel, I think, because Ron Friends is definitely heavily, he's like a refined Kirby and stuff, right? But they did this one shot out of nowhere called 384, and we had a Thor of the future retelling like in a King Arthur kind of way, of a new Thor in the future being worthy to pick that up. I've always got into this guy, the once and future Thor. This is from 1987. This is a good time, man. But it was like very dystopian. It's very 80s, very dystopian, Blade Runner like world. It is what it is. A poor kid, and then they created this whole world here, right? So I don't know if this is showing up, but people would line up in there, and they would all dress up like Thor in their robes and their wings, and everybody would come by and take a turn trying to pick up the hammer, much like they did Excalibur with King Arthur and stuff, right? I don't think people dressed up that's a fun book. That's probably like my third or fourth copy. I'll pick it up every day, all day long. He popped up a few times, like in a Thor core storyline and stuff, right? Very fun story, right? And then I've talked a lot about Jack Kirby, John Byrne, Walt Simonson, but in 97, yeah, 97, 98, 99, I feel like that was like a real big last hurrah mainstream wise for Byrne and Simonson, in my opinion, because they came in and they got a little corner of the DC universe there where they got the Jack Kirby characters. They got the Fourth World and stuff like that. John Orion, we had a 25 issue run of Orion by Walt Simonson, which is fantastic. I'm completing that run. And Jack Kirby had come in. Jack Kirby, New Gods book was going on. John Byrne came in the last 2-3 issues. Walt Simonson was doing some covers and stuff, and they just combined everything and did Jack Kirby's Fourth World. And this ran for about 25 issues, right? Not complex storytelling, if you will, but just fun. And if you're a fan of these characters, it's very cool because it has Forever People. It has New Gods, Forever People, Mr. Miracle, everybody in it and stuff. Anybody had anything to do with the Fourth World, they're in here doing their thing, right? So this is number 7, just helping them getting closer to completing a run. What we got here? We got some comments. Dennis Hayes is here. Good morning. Oh man, I'm glad I checked these out. We're talking comics here I love it. We got some comic book talk going on. Oh, John C. enjoyed Shadow Man. What we got here? The Sumerian. Sam Keith. Yes, he's my favorite artist. The Din Argonis. Yeah. Okay. So Sergio. First issue Wizard I picked up was number 6 with the Hulk on the cover. I think I had that. I know exactly what one you're talking about. Found out years later there was a gray version of that number 4 cover. Isn't that just great to find things and then go for the hunt? David Micklany said that Jim Sally, I'm tearing these names up this morning. Anyway, Jim Souderkrupp was the editor of the Spider-Man books, and he went on to Top Comics and became editor in chief there. Kept Venom on a tight leash when he edited Spider-Man. Uh, but the next editor, Danny Fingeroth, started to pimping Venom out everywhere. Nice. I can see that. I think Jim was right. I think moderation is good because, I got burnt out on Wolverine just like everybody else. And they ran him into the ground eventually. Byrne was back. He was great back in the day. I noticed in my Marvel team up, that was some of his best stuff. Dennis Hayes is here. Awesome West Coast Avengers. Thank you, John. I got one more to show here. Byrne, talk about John Byrne. I've got a very few actual John Byrne videos where I just show his complete runs, like on Action Comics or Superman or something like that. And I did those years ago, 8-9 years ago, I think, and I still get huge hits on those. They're not viral; it's just they consistently have people watching them. For a guy known for cosmic epics, Jim Starlin wrote one hell of a cool Batman run. Starlin's Hulk Thing graphic novel he did with Bernie Wrightson in Chef's Kiss. Oh, I hope I still have that. That was some good stuff. Silver Surfer, Green Lantern Corps, Omega Men. There's a horrible lack of alien space comics these days. No Lobo, no Nova, no Invasion style crossover. Why? I can tell you why. Because you cannot be an activist in space. Okay. There's more diversity and tolerance in space than there is in the minds of these writers these days. There's nobody to call a bigot. Yeah. They don't know what they're doing. I'm glad they leave those characters alone. They've tainted enough. They have tainted enough. I love that Orion run. Little Jimmy Fireball. I'm hoping I have it. I'm gonna go through it and see if I have it. But I was talking to somebody about this, and they said that there's an issue that is completely genius. It's pure Walt Simonson genius. I know I have it, and I actually think I read it now that I'm talking to you. Well, we get the Orion Darkseid fight, and the entire issue is the fight, no dialogue. So I'm going to look for that. Can't wait to read that. So thanks to like Marvel TV shows and Marvel movies and things, I'm not saying this is a bad thing or thing, but sometimes it makes me just kind of shake my head, right? So when we got the Scarlet Witch Vision show, WandaVision, where I think people kind of miss they merged those names to make a play on television when you watch the show. I made it through this. I made it through, I don't know, 2-3 episodes of that, and we got rid of our Disney Plus again. I have Disney Plus again because when my wife upgraded her phone, somehow she got 6, 7, 8 months or something of Hulu and Disney for free. But anyway, that's a little personal. But anyway, so all of a sudden these West Coast Avengers and John Byrne was there right again. Luckily, I had the books. I'm not going to go through the story of me scrambling around because West Coast Avengers was not on the newsstand in my town anywhere from the get-go. That's why when I saw somebody with the miniseries, I was like, "Where'd you get that?" Anyway, but I'm going blank what it was, right? But anyway, the Vision, John Byrne, West Coast Avengers Vision panel where he recreated the John Buscema Avenger story homage the cover of the first appearance of the Silver Age Vision, coming up. He was, that popped because of the TV show. But another book that popped was this one. And this cracks me up because this was hot. This was hot for a couple months. And I have found, this is my 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th one I have found in dollar boxes. But it's Avengers West Coast number 61 because it reveals that Scarlet Witch is, oh my God, what was it? She's like a celestial being or something. I don't know. It hasn't gone anywhere. That's Immortus on there. But yeah, John Byrne left the book. I think Roy Thomas and some people came in. They were picking up the pieces. Paul Ryan became there. I mean, it's just good Avengers stuff if you like it, Roy Thomas returning from the way that the Crisis on Infinite Earths had just destroyed what he had spent 5 and 6 years writing and creating with the Earth 2 characters of All-Star Squadron, Infinity Incorporated, Johnny Thunder, and some other stuff over at DC. Even messed around with his Captain Carrot stuff and everything like that. He returns to Marvel. They hand him West Coast Avengers. He's writing with his wife. He gets Doctor Strange. So people who are probably my age at the time in the 80s when Roy Thomas came back were probably like, yeah, All right, and this is probably the second or third time I had this. I just need to buckle down and get all of these. Just do it. I never really went out to complete this run of comics, but I was there from the beginning, and I would see it, and I loved it. It was funny. It was a break. Second issue of this What the. It calls back to Wally Wood and EC Comics and crazy and not Brand Eck. Even going back, the way they draw these characters, these funny little stories with their heroes. But they came out with What the, and the second issue had John Byrne doing a Superb Man meets the Fantastic Four, more or less, right? But this issue actually popped. I want you to look at this, all right? This is what kills me about this, speculation sometimes and stuff. And I get it. You get excited, but this is a humor book. This is outside of continuity. This means nothing. This is just for fun, right? I can see it. I can see one of these books being worth money if it's like some artist or writer's first published work or something that became huge later. You know what I mean? But this is What the, and they put Wolverina on here. I think it should be like 1991, guys. This is number 11, 1991, right? This thing popped because of Wolverine all of a sudden having kids and stuff, right? And there was a section of fandom, of YouTube fandom. If you're one of them, don't be embarrassed. We've all had our moments in life. I listened to hair metal in high school. Okay, so I have things I'm making peace with. There were people that took this comic serious and thought this was really going to be a first appearance of the female Wolverine. Um, and you actually couldn't find this, and this popped for a little bit when it came to the second market sales and stuff, and it actually went up on some online comic book sites that I used to see the prices of it. Of course, it didn't stand, and if you don't remember this, that's okay too. But I notice these things, and my memory is long. It goes back long, and if we start talking about things, I remember things. You can bring me back. So yeah, What the, number 11. People kind of took that serious. It's a little bit water damaged on the back. Now, this book here, I cannot believe was in a dollar bin, right? And maybe it's just me. It's my nostalgia. Maybe I put this writer on a pedestal a little bit sometimes, right? But I cannot believe how anybody who collects comic books, and this is for $1, and you go through there, that you wouldn't know what this is. I don't care that it came out in 1985, right? You should already know this. It's part of a classic run, right? But almost in mint condition, which is what's getting me as I look at this. The light's just hitting this corner, right? Look at this. This is mint condition, smells brand new, creamy white pages. But this is Superman Swamp Thing. DC Comics presents number 85, right? Alan Moore has that classic run on Swamp Thing that should be required reading. And then he did this one shot with Rick Vetch, showing, upping Swamp Thing, showing how he saves the day. He is actually more of the hero in this. Blows my mind that I found this in a dollar bin. Wow, just wow. That's all I can say is wow. Okay, and then this book. This is one of my favorite comics from when I was a kid. 1983. And I remember seeing a movie called The Terminator come out, so maybe a year later, if I remember right. And I'm like, hey, I've seen this, right? I knew the plot, right? But one of my favorite things in comics as a kid was after my journey of having Jack Kirby art scare me to becoming a Jack Kirby fan. Where's it at? Oh, here it is. Thanks to, maybe the way I remember it, Thundar the Barbarian, when I figured out that the designs in these cartoons were Jack Kirby, coming around at 7 years old and becoming a Kirby nut over the years and stuff. One of my favorite things was to see George Perez draw Kirby characters. You just look at their styles. You see what I'm saying? In my day, this was like Alex Ross drawing Kirby characters. I'm 19 years old. So when Crisis on Infinite Earths came out, and all of a sudden we got Commandy on the cover of number 2, and I'm 12 years old, I'm geeking out. It all started here, right? I was already a Perez fan thanks to his Justice League work before the Titans. Yeah, you heard that right. But anyway, this comes out. This is just a classic story. Basically, OMAC comes back in time because there's a robot that has come back in time to take out Buddy Blank / OMAC take out his ancestor, so there's no OMAC and Buddy Blank in the future, right? Um, yeah, it's very Terminator like. And then over the years, I've talked about this before, and I've had people bring up the fact that there's a short story, some sci-fi short story back that they both actually probably pulled from, you know. But what a lot of people miss is this is a homage to Flash 123 with the cover, you know, which I you know, wink and a nod. Um, and I grab this anytime I see it. This is probably the most beautiful copy that I have. And yes, I still have the one I bought when I was 10 years old in 1983. So, yeah, back when they were 60 cents. And I tell you, there's a magic. And if I knew what was coming, I ended up playing Dungeons and Dragons from 85 to about 90, 91, hardcore with the same group. And this stuff, these video games coming up, the Dungeons and Dragons, there's a lot of magic if you were a kid back in the day. And now we have completed a series. We have completed a series. It is over. I don't know why this was so hard to find. It's some of the sloppiest work. You can tell he's like, bye, I'm out of here with the artwork, in my opinion. I don't know if it's where this character maybe had a cult following. I don't know, but we're tying a lot of things together. We've talked about Todd McFarlane's Venom. We've talked about Roy Thomas and everything like that, right? But now I have this series complete. This is one more off the notch. This is what I've been doing, is completing the series. I've completed The Dreaming. I've completed Sandman Mystery Theater. I completed Quasar, you know, things I'm actually reading. And I finally have issue number 33 of Infinity Inc. And dear God, somebody's going to have to explain to me why this was so hard to find. Because basically we have a cover by Todd McFarlane. We have 1 or 2 pages by Todd McFarlane, and another artist comes in. And they tell the origin of Obsidian. I'm pretty sure, and we're all friends here, you know, I didn't really do the research or anything, right? But when I look at this cover, it even made me a little bit more it just upped me a little bit. Like, it's just escalated me. That's the word I'm looking for. Escalated me of like, why this book? This, for Todd McFarlane, this is a called in cover. The art that the 2 pages he did called in, and this guy's jumping on the Hulk and Spider-Man here pretty soon, you know, after this, right? Like, he's out of there, you know what I mean? He did a few other things for him, and they printed later before he left, like some the Invasion miniseries and stuff, right? But anyway, so yeah, out of all the issues to find with Infinity Incorporated, there's actually just 1 or 2 books in there. The Crisis books might be a little tough to find depending on where you're at. I think it's issue 16, the first appearance of Mr. Bones. That's the one that really popped. It seems like there's 1 or 2 other issues, like issue number 34, 32, because of some Global Guardian stuff. But overall, no, this shouldn't have been hard to find. And I found it in a dollar box in pristine condition, right? I could have got it off eBay, but when you go to get a book off eBay, 9 times out of 10 now, you're paying up to $5 or more for shipping. So a single book like this can end up costing you between $9 and $13 with what I found, you know. So yeah, it's over with. I've got it. It's going to get it bagged, put it in the box, finish reading this run. Any kind of run, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you decide to go back and revisit some books or get a collection together like Invaders, All-Star Squadron, and things like that, Roy Thomas, I both love and also hate at the same time what it is. If you were getting these books month to month, Roy Thomas gave you a book that gave you your money's worth to hold you over for that next month when the book came in. The dialogue, he felt like he had to explain things that didn't need to be explained. He and Mark Grunwald both had this thing about making sure continuity worked and things. So there's like a lot of explanation, a lot of material there to read and stuff. Sit down to try to read 4, 6, 12 issues. You're spending the day. You know what I mean? You know? All right. So now we have the trades, and I got great deals on these trades and Epic collections and stuff. This is what I think is the good stuff. So let me see what we have here. We're going to do the comments and then just jump right in. I love that Orion run. Oh, I don't remember what I was talking about. Little Jimmy Fireball. Apparently, he remembers something I was talking about. Yeah, those books went from dollar bins to way too expensive. Probably the West Coast Avengers stuff. Yeah, the Avengers West Coast issues. Yep. Yeah, exactly. I was laughing. I was laughing the entire time. And not like a gloating laughter, a laughter of like, are you kidding me? I'm trying to complete that 70s Shadow Run. Just a few left to go. Trying to get them cheap is taking way too long. I hear you. I hear you. Um, I've got a little bit of a collection of those without kind of trying, picking them up here and there. So I probably have 4 or 5 issues of those. And yeah, they are expensive. But when you find a beautiful copy, oh wow, you know what I mean? I totally get it. So we're going to skip to a place called McKay's. I'll show the last stack of trades that I got at the comic book convention. But after the comic book convention, we went and ate at Big Daddy's. I got a patty melt. Josh got this huge cheeseburger that had like bacon that was cooked and then fried in buttermilk. It looked like a chicken strip on it, stuff like that. Great fries, great atmosphere, great music. Felt like a sports bar without it being a sports bar. You know what I mean? Just a great place. Had a gigantic, had to be at least a 15-foot by, I don't know, 6-foot movie poster of Pulp Fiction above where you go to the bathroom at. Just a real cool. We don't have a Big Daddy's around here, so people may know what I'm talking about. This is Winston-Salem now. We jumped over to Winston-Salem, from Charlotte to Winston-Salem. And we went to a place called McKay's, and McKay's is just overwhelming. There's McKay's in Chattanooga, Tennessee. There's a McKay's in Knoxville, which I think is the best one. And then there's one in Winston-Salem. If you're in Johnson City, Tennessee, there's a place called Mr. K, where they used to be with McKay's, and they separated and became their own thing. These are the places you go where people take anything and everything and they well organize it, like I said at the beginning of the show, and you can go in there and find stuff, right? I've got my Doctor Who, Tom Baker DVDs there, some Colin Baker DVDs there. I've gotten books there off and on for years, comic books, DVDs, Pulse. It's where I got a lot of my Destroyer books, things, just anything and everything you can think of. They have school books, psychological books, occult books, anything people's bring in there. They have action figures, toys, CDs. Someplace I've seen 8 tracks at one. Anything, everything. I've seen electronics there and stuff. Right? You just never know what you're going to get into. But the theme but as you can see, the theme is entertainment, right? So I left the price tags on these to give you an idea of what's there, right? And I did spend too much after what I spent. I spent. I can't remember. I think total I spent $80 for the day. I don't usually do that. You know what I mean? There's some people just kind of looking at me like, "How cheap are you, Tim?" And there's some people like, "Is that you, Tim?" But yeah, I made a day of it. Anyway, but Captain Victory is one of my favorite Kirby books. That either or it came out of Pacific Comics, and this is the main title of Captain Victory and the Galactic Guardians. I totally get why that would turn people away, but when you read it, there's a contradiction. It has this nice 50s Silver Age sort of feel, not a feel, but more of a, you can tell that's its roots, you know what I mean? And then it has like this brutality that gives it its contradiction, okay? It's got this brutal stuff. Bad things happen to people, right? Kirby was a genius, right? So, I don't know, we'll say 10 years ago, Dynamite Comics came out, and they had talked to the Kirby estate, and Roz and the family were going to let Dynamite publish some unused characters or characters they still owned. Kirby came out, wrote this miniseries where he tied all this together as a tribute to Kirby. The miniseries was called Kirby. I want to say Kirby Genesis and stuff, right? And there's a few little facts in there and stuff too from the real world and stuff, right? So while they were doing this, they came out with some other miniseries around this time, right? And the big one here is Captain Victory. So yes, there were Alex Ross covers. This was like a celebration. Bunch of alternate covers, variant covers came out by other artists and stuff, right? So this was a $20. 20 and things like new. I can't believe somebody traded this in. So we have a $20 trade that I got for $3.50. And then I went back and forth on getting this, right? It is a little bit pricier compared to that one because I have these books, but I'm doing this thing where even if I have them on the shelf, I'm wanting trades that have convenience. I'm starting to do this thing when I start reading newer books or new books to me. my mind starts wandering and I want to read other things. I'm getting to that age where I know what I want to go back and read. You know what I mean? There's things I want to reread. Things aren't grabbing me like they used to, right? So this reprints three, oh my God, what was it? The Hateful Dead, Super Babylon, Kingdom of the Blind, Martial Law. This was $8.50. This came out from Dark Horse. It was $16 when it came out, but they collect three of the stories that came out in the early 90s, one shots at different companies, and Dark Horse puts them all together here. I love Martial Law. Martial Law is finite. There is a miniseries, a bunch of one shots, a bunch of other stuff, 2-issue miniseries that came out. The whole journey goes through. There is a beginning, middle, and an end to Martial Law. I've talked about Martial Law at length before, and I've learned that people who are extremely left-leaning do not like the book. Beyond the Fourth Wall, that channel. That is a channel where the guy's been around for a long time. He reviews bad comic books, but his whole shtick is that he's just a bit of a clone of Angry Video Game Nerd. He just does it with comics. And when I was looking up for other people, I was like, has anybody ever read Martial Law? I didn't see a lot of people talking about it, because to me, this is like the bastard cousin, the evil cousin to Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns, just because of how cynical it gets with heroes and stuff like that. There's a journey there, right? Self-loathing guy who's a cop that hunts heroes because they point out the hypocrisy of trying to be heroic. And when it comes all the way to the end of the story, the guy accepts that he is a hero because he does good. Anyway, but Atop the Fourth Wall did it in the middle of his video instead of just going forward and reviewing Martial Law. Like I said, he goes after bad comics is how I remembered it, right? So I was expecting it to, be a little bit tongue-in-cheek. He stops in the middle of it and he starts like saying all these things of why he absolutely hates the book. He wants to make sure, it was to be sure that everybody, and it was because of things that he saw was right-leaning in it. And I'm just sort of like, what the hell happened? When did this turn into a political rant? Yeah, he was making sure that he was pandering to the left a little bit, which if he felt the need to do it, he knows his audience, I guess, right? But there's some good stuff in this, but it's not for everybody. It's brutal. If you know Pat Mills' art, if you know things like this is the guy that did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with Kevin O'Neill is the artist that did the art. Wait a minute. I'm mixing the two in my head. Excuse me. Pat Mills is the writer from 2000 AD and things like that. Kevin O'Neill is the artist that really finally, in my opinion, got noticed after being in comics forever. Before the 90s, that really, I think he finally got the appreciation he needed with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with, in my opinion, with Alan Moore. And actually, this guy did a one-shot little story in a Green Lantern Corps special. I'm trying to think what it was. I mean, I have it and everything like that, but he came in and Alan Moore, he did a story where Abin Sur went to a demon planet and it answered the question, why would a Green Lantern be flying through space in a spaceship, and that spaceship crashed and Hal Jordan became a Green Lantern? They answer that. And DC called up. They didn't want to publish it. They were like, you think he can change some things with his art? And they were like, oh, what panels? And they went the complete way that he draws. Kevin O'Neill's art style is so unique and comes at you like it's a chainsaw trying to cut you up. It's brutal and you just have to take it in. I mean, your brain really needs time to process what you're looking at sometimes. That DC was just like, I don't know if we can publish this guy. I haven't seen an artist get talked about like that with such a unique style since Richard Corbin, right? So maybe I'm a fan. Maybe I'm pumping it up too much, right? But I love this stuff, right? I mean, like I said, you just never know what you're going to get when you open this stuff. Yeah. Oh, such good stuff. I'm going to be doing some reading today, and then I shouldn't. I have other things to do, right? Okay, so real quick on these. Nothing real spectacular here. I'm completing Airboy. I'm real close. I found issues 2 and 6 for 75 cents. Is that a win? Maybe it is because they were 50 cents when they came out. So 2 more issues towards Airboy. And then Suicide Squad, right? Now, this is the thing where I kind of like knowing the little trivia. There's things you're just not going to know by reading Wikipedia and stuff, right? But this is really cool. A lot of people don't realize that Amanda Waller finally went to jail. If you've seen her in the Suicide Squad movies, then in comics and stuff, people tend to forget she actually went to jail for a year. And Batman, of all people, popped up to be like, we got to get the band. You need to get the band back together, whatever, right? But the thing about this issue here, and I was playing it cool because when people know, they know things and they try to jack up the price. But there's a poster inside, and I love stuff like this. I like having rarities and oddities in comic books, and I love posters in comics. So this issue of Suicide Squad has this fantastic poster. I love little extras and stuff like that. That makes comics a little bit more magical for people. I mean, that is fantastic, and the art is really fantastic on this. I can see people pulling this out. This is 1990, number 40. If you want to track it down, they had two of them. I just got one. And like I said, in the bins that I was in, where books were 75 cents to $1, this one popped up to 2.25 because it has the poster. God knows what it's doing on the eBay. And then this one, I would kind of wish to. Oh, Gore Vidal, I actually got ready to say. I was hoping you were here because I'm sure you know what this one is. But this is TinTin in the Congo. This is a 1991 reprint, if you will, I guess is the way to put it, edition of a story from the 1930s. And I didn't do my research here, so grain of salt. But I'm positive this is the story. I am confident enough to go ahead and say it. But despite this being available for decades, through certain publishers and stuff, this is the TinTin in the Congo, where this was banned. This was actually censored and banned due to the portrayals of how they felt in the wrong way. I'm trying to figure out how to say this eloquently without doing any of those tag words of, they just felt like it wasn't a good representation of people in the Congo, even though it's 1931 and we've come a long way since then. So, this was $5.50, which amazes me. And I don't really see what the original price was, but it's down from 10 when they first got it. And then part of the series, part of TinTin's adventures was traveling the world and stuff, right? And there is a fantastic movie that Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson did of TinTin. I know hardcore TinTin fans did have contacted me through YouTube back in the day when I would talk about it to let me know they didn't think it was a good movie. So I thought it was great. But, if you don't like the movie, I'm not going to try to convince you. I thought it was just great to get TinTin out there. They didn't do anything I thought that really tarnished the character. You know what I mean? Pete Jackson and Steven Spielberg come together kind of cracked me up a little bit, But anyway, yeah, I've got a little something put on the shelf to bring up in conversation. That is all of the McKay's haul. We are back at the trades. We're winding it up, guys. We're back at the trades that I got fantastic deals on from there. So let's see what we're going to do the chat, guys. Let me get a little drink of my cocoa from my Pac-Man mug. A little hot chocolate there. I hope I didn't make a slurp sound. I bet I made a slurp sound because I'm a savage. All right, Mr. Begley. Avengers West Coast was the title where former Avengers writers went when they returned to Marvel. Both Roy and Steve found themselves there. Steve Englehart, in my head, is the writer for Avengers West Coast, even though that's why I had to check that. Even though David Michelny is the one that started it all up there, I guess, in that miniseries, Steve Englehart is the one to me that did that book. Steve Englehart was doing that book. He was doing Silver Surfer. Seemed like he was writing something else. He was all over. He was writing Millennium on the New Guardians and stuff at DC. I mean, that man became a workhorse there. His 70s stuff is what I really enjoyed. That 80s stuff, I don't know. That's a whole other video. Things that nobody's real interested in talking about anyway. Did you ever try the Infinity Incorporated series by Peter Milligan that came out in mid-2000s? I was hating Marvel and bought every DC book, but I hated that series. I don't even think McFarlane could help. No, I skipped it. I'm not saying that I knew better. It's just when it came to Infinity Inc., that book was there was a touch of legacy. That was an Earth 2 book. And I don't remember the series that you're talking about. I want to say it came out after the Weekly 52 book. I could be wrong. And when I saw what they were doing in the 52 with the name Infinity Inc. and stuff, I was like, this is not for me. It's if I remember right, it's like it kind of came off like Youngblood or something, or they're trying to do what I don't know. I don't know, but no, I didn't. I didn't check it out. I didn't stick around. I know. I remember reading the premise and previews or something. Hey, Haller, in chat. I feel like I'm double dipping on trades lately too. Been buying a lot of the Marvel Essentials for the older stuff to save digging it out, and handing these books over as well. If I remember right, the Essentials are black and white, correct? The only book I don't really usually get picky. I mean, if there's a price, I want to get an essential. Don't get me wrong. If it's if I'm finding it on sale and it's some good stuff, but I think the only black and white stuff I really can handle getting in trades like that are horror stories. I'm sure it's the universal effect in my brain of watching old horror movies and mystery science theater, the black and white stuff and everything like that, and Conan stories, and that's from reading so much Savage Sword of Conan growing up. I read more of those than I did the comic. But the double dipping thing, yeah, it happens. The CLZ app and stuff, right? Hey, good morning, Gore. Great to see you. I too like a martial law. Pat Mills is politically liberal. I think critics of the book don't understand satire. Um, yeah, I mean, to me, it doesn't bother me when somebody doesn't like something if it goes against how they feel politically and stuff. But if you just saw the video I was talking about, the way I remember it and stuff, it was just so venomous. You know what I mean? And it felt staged. And I'm like, why are you even covering the book if you hate it this bad? It was a performance, is what I'm getting at. I can go back and read comics and stuff that are left leaning or right leaning, but it's still a story, and it seems like it wasn't preachy lecturing or trying to recruit. It is sort of balanced off with story and stuff like that. So things like that didn't used to really get me riled, but there's a lot of performance now, in my opinion, when it comes to the political divides. You have better bookstores where you live. This is a place that's about 2.5 hours away is where we went this time. Never seen any of those books here. I didn't know that about TinTin. Pilo is better versed in history. $5. Wow. Yeah. Like I said, I tried to. I do this thing where I pretend if there's something I'm not sure that I want to spend the money on, or I'm not sure if I want it because of space and wonder if I really get around to reading it. In my head, I'm able to act like I'm 20 minutes away and I'm not going to be coming back for months. How do I feel? And that's how I finally make that final decision. I put back more things than I end up buying every time. If you slurped Leela, the Savage would approve. Oh, Gore, you know me so well. You know exactly those beautiful things to say to me. All right, so here are the deals, in my opinion. All right, I turned down a lot of stuff. I put back a lot of stuff. There's maybe one book I regret not going back and getting. And just remember, guys, that in this world of comic speculation and keys and things like that, where there is a place for that, I'm excited about these books. So that's not me hyping these things, right? These are things that for me are exciting, and I got a great deal on them. And the deal is probably better than maybe how some of you feel towards the books. Okay. So the first thing here is that First Comics came out with this series of graphic novels in the late 80s. And it was like American Flag and all this stuff. But they had 4 books where they took the original Kevin Easton, Peter Laird stories of the Turtles, and they reprinted them, right? So from issue 1 on, I'll have to look and see what's in here, right? And they're really hard to find, right? I luckily found them, first 3 volumes. I found them like 20 years ago at Pigeon Forge, a comic book shop down there, I think, right? So all these years, I know there's been a 4th one, never seen it. When I did look it up, I'm not joking, man, I saw $75 to $100 for reprints. I get it. It's early reprints. This is before trades were really a thing. Don't get me wrong. It's late 80s and stuff, right? So I found this one, the 4th book finally. I now have all 4 from First Publishing, right? And I'm so happy because the first thing that happened is that I told you I felt like a lot of people jacked their prices up, and then they said, hey, these are half off. This is probably what they wanted to begin with. But I had to talk with the guy. He was very nice. We were sitting there talking, and I didn't really try to do a sale. I didn't come off like a slimy car salesman. And the biggest thing is I was willing to walk away. That's the biggest thing about negotiation, guys. No matter what it is, you've got to have that part in your brain where you legitimately are willing to walk away if it doesn't go, you know, where you want it to go, right? So I got this for $10 from Five because it does have some pieces of, this thing's been well loved. There's a little here and there. There's little pieces of paper that's been scraped off the spine here and there, right? So I showed that damage, opened it up. It looks brand new. It smells brand new, but I'm ready to go to a library and get some glue if I got to reattach this spine or something, right? I'm real nervous about it, right? And I just popped it open once or twice, so I may be over. I may be being paranoid, right? But anyway, $10 for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Book 4 from First Publishing. I now have all 4 of the original reprints from the 80s. As I've talked about before, I was there to hear about the Turtles when they started. Probably about 85 or 86. I really don't know. I finally got to lay eyes on the Turtles and stuff through advertisements and things on there. My Turtles were from 81 all the way to that last issue of the Mirage series with City of War. We'll say 92, and then Archie Comics had started also with a series more kid friendly, like the cartoon show. I will never forget that Saturday morning of, I used to watch Mighty Mouse, Ralph Bakshi's Mighty Mouse, Pee Wee Herman, Galactic Guardian Super Friends. Even then I had my cartoons, and this was me preparing to go out that day and at night, with my mullet and everything like that. So when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles popped up as a cartoon, my mouth just dropped. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? I wished I could explain that feeling, but you had to be there to know that something in your little secret world of comic books has made it onto a mainstream Saturday morning TV show. And they took these. Here's how the Turtles won me over. Okay. I was one of those people where, like, and it's comics, don't get me wrong, but this is a silly animal book. You're talking to the man who loves, who was missing, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 issues of Captain Carrot and the Amazing Zoo Crew, right? You follow me here? I just told you I was watching Mighty Mouse and stuff, right? So I see this book and I really don't know about it, right? I was like, oh God, it's got ninjas in it. I was sick of ninjas from the begin with. Frank Miller brought in ninjas to comics. There was the movie, the TV show, The Master. There were these B movies and stuff of ninjas all over the place where you go, to do things. So now here's some turtle ninjas, So in that very first story, they're on their rooftop. They're fighting all these ninjas from the hand. And finally, one of the ninjas cut. Is it Michelangelo? It's got the swords, the katanas. Anyway, but one of them cuts him a little bit, and they're stunned. They're like, "Oh my God, you bleed. What are you?" And he goes, "Yes, I bleed, and so can you." And you can tell he cuts his head off. And I was like, "It's got stakes. This got stakes." Turtle fan from there on. So this is really important to me to have this era. Between this and the last Ronin book, I'm good. Anything that's happened in between that, I really don't have an opinion too much on. I absolutely love the Nickelodeon 2002 cartoon series. I think. There's bits and pieces here and stuff, but the micro series that came out, all that stuff, great stuff, man. So yeah, I'm real happy to have that. And then these are the first thing I saw, the first thing I bought, and I tell you what, man, I went with a budget. I went with a plan. Buy things that are going to complete your runs. Keep your eye out for some real good key books and stuff. Have some fun today, Tim. And the first damn thing that happens is that this guy has boxes and boxes of trades, hardbacks and soft, and some indie stuff, and a few things I never heard of, $5 a pop. And as I have said before, right now, currently, my favorite version of a trade paperback are Marvel's epic collections that they've been putting out, doing chronological stories, complete series, anything and everything, coming out and everything like that. And I thought I had a stack, at least, I'm not joking, 4.5 feet high if I had stacked it up, of books that I was going to get. Luckily, Josh, who was with us, he ended up getting one of those books out. 2 of those books I put back, right? And there's only one book I regret not getting. So I'm like, I just got here. I can't buy all this stuff. This is great stuff. So I picked what I really, really chose and wanted. And I ended up getting 4 epic collections, brand new. These range from $40 to $50, $45. This one's 45. $5 a piece. This is King Conan, Volume 1. These run from 2006 to 2013. So this is obviously the Dark Horse years of the licensing. And this is where they adapt 4 stories chronologically in Conan's history. This is him as king now. Excuse me. This is King Conan. These are the tales of him as king of Aquilonia there. All right. But this one, let me see. We got it, Toth Ammon, but we have Midnight God 1 through 5, the Scarlet Citadel, the Phoenix of the Sword, the Phantoms of the Black Coast, and material from Age of Conan, Hyborian Adventures and stuff. Right? Tim Truman is in this. This is just fantastic. Some Dave Stevens inks or something, I think, is what's in here. Yeah, these epic collections are fantastic. That was for $5. These were also for $5. So I've said that Savage Sword of Conan is my favorite Conan books to read. They got past the Comics Code Authority, so you can see boobies, I guess, in your Hyborian age. If you're to be barbarians and boobies go hand in hand. I don't think that's dirty. I think it's just a fact, Anyway, but you had the comic book, Barry Windsor Smith, adaptations of the stories and everything like that. Roy Thomas is on there. And they were in color and stuff, right? But in my house, we veered more toward, we had the comics, don't get me wrong, but we veered more towards Savage Sword of Conan, the black and white. So I'm also fine with finding the epic collections of 3 volumes of the comic book, Roy Thomas, John Buscema, some Neil Adams and stuff like that. So I found volume 3 that covers from 1973 to 1974. Conan the Barbarian 27 to 42 and annual number 1 in this brand new $5. Great stuff. We also got volume number 4 that covers from 74 to 76. Conan 43 to 59, Savage Sword of Conan number 1. All right. So apparently I get a little Savage Sword of Conan in this one. Let me see where it's at. Oh, this is such good stuff. Look at this. Some Barry Windsor Smith with some prose there. Probably an editorial. Oh man, but these pages, the colors, they're vibrant. I love how they don't try to fill the page. That's probably the actual size of a comic there, compared to the epic collection being a little bit bigger. And this is the Conan I have, the ones where he's always trapped, staked down, whatever, Wolf Woman. And of course, we have those monsters. And I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to move on because I'm going to start reminiscing. I'm starting to remember more and more and more about Conan and my experience reading them as a kid. Looks like there's King Cole on the cover of this one. The Once and Future Kings. I don't know if I've read any of these stories. Conan the Barbarian, 60 to 71, Annuals 2 and 3, Power Records, from 1974 to 31. That's probably the Neil Adams stuff. And material from Foom, number 14. So these epic collections put anything and everything that was published on these characters, even when it wasn't in the series and stuff, chronologically as it went out. That is so cool, man. I mean, look what you get in the back of these. If you love the background material and stuff, right? I want to see if I find that Power Record stuff. Oh, I have read this. Oh, man. Yes. Oh, yeah. So apparently I did read the king size annual because I remember these pages like the back of my hand. Oh, wow. The art, not the dialogue. This 2-page spread. That is Conan. I love that stuff. Wow. Fantastic. I can't believe the Power Records one is in here. I might have that Power Record downstairs. I have some of them. Look at that. Oh, good stuff. Okay, I'm putting it down. I just saw some stuff. Anyway, I might be reading those when we're done here. So, guys, that was the fantastic thing. If you just popped in at the beginning, I put up a whole bunch of flyers that we collected talking about upcoming comic book conventions in the North Carolina, South Carolina area. It's coming out starting next week all the way up till I think August or something like that. And so let's look at those. Yeah, $5. And Josh picked up a few things there for $5. I'm trying to talk Josh into showing his hauls on here because he is very sporadic, but he actually goes for he goes for some quality stuff. He's apparently a huge EC fan. Ooh, look at this. So if you guys want, we'll do this. All right, Gorvidal. Oh wow, didactic storytelling is being normalized in all mediums. You give me quotes where I feel like I need to go off on a whole other video of some of this stuff. They're black and white. Reading a lot of Gene Colan, the way made me appreciate his art more than did previously. Yeah, his I could see Tom Palmer, Gene Colan, the Tomb of Dracula stuff would be perfect. Like I said, it's horror, man, horror. Gene Colan, uh, just a beast. I appreciate him much more than I did when I was a kid. The TMNT, the Turtles are ridiculously expensive online. I have 2 of those volumes. I think they're fantastic. Those are some of my favorite trades, right there. Let's see. I don't like the comic book YouTubers who are more interested in production and editing in their videos instead of the content. Oh, I agree. I have a video where I kind of bring up that point just because I had a piece of a notebook and a pen and I was flipping my pages. And at the end of it, I let people know that they were more engaged in what I was saying with 0 effects. Now, there's some stuff that I think every now and then having a good edited video is really cool to kind of mix it up. But at the end of the day, there's so much on YouTube and stuff. You're only as good as your last video. So if you start going down that road, you get this unnecessary pressure on you sometimes to keep it up when you forget you're doing this for fun. So I like playing around. I've got some edited videos that I was like, oh, this is great, but to do that all the time, no. Yeah. If you get an idea, inspiration hits, or you got a haul like this, just get it out there. You know what I mean? Style over substance. Mate, exactly. Yep. Oh, April won me over. Yep. April with the Amy Irving hair and Jennifer Beals resemblance. Yeah, April O'Neil is something else, man. I'll tell you what. It blows my mind how she has. I think she's right up there with like Lois Lane and stuff like that now. I think she's kind of elevated for what type of character her is in comicdom and pop culture. I can't believe the price is $5 for an Epic collection. Yes. Like I said, I almost spent everything there 10 minutes after getting there, going through their boxes. We got Jared Osborne here. $5 for an Epic collection is absurd. This sounds like buying hot merchandise out of the back of a car. What happens down here, and this was explained to me at Heroes Con, is a lot of these dealers down here. I can only talk about the area I know. There's I can see them. I follow some of these people on Instagram and stuff, but I've actually talked to them. How do they do this? It is nothing to go to Heroes Con and find 1 or 2 tables, and then like we did today, where you find trades and soft covers and things like that for $5. Usually hard covers are $10. But what these people are doing is that they're more interested in buying up entire collections from people instead of piecemealing it. Instead of trying to buy a piece here or buying a book there, they buy entire collections up. They put an offer out. They go through it. They just want the comics. And then when it comes to the trades and the soft covers and stuff, they just want to get rid of them, right? They're more interested in the comics. And then the very person that I talked to at Heroes Con a few years ago, I was asking them, why do you do this? As we were talking, I looked over and one of his partners came up and they bought a collection. And when they got the collection out, he had 10 copies of Harbinger #1 from Valiant in his hand with the coupons in them. And I was like, I get it now. They are high rollers, and this stuff here is just taking up space. They don't want to put the time in it. They make more money getting collections than trying to sell trades. So whatever I'm imagining in my head from what I saw there, it's not so much that they're hot. I think it's just another comic book store went out of business and they bought up the product. That's probably more than what people want to know, but that's how I keep up with dealers and stuff, know who to buy off and stuff. Let me see. Liam McGraw. I don't think I've had the same self-control to just buy 4. If this was the first time I ran across this at Heroes Con, it was not good. I still had 3 days. That was the first day, and it was a 3-day con, and mistakes were made. Okay. So it's just from experience of this not being my first time of running across a deal like that. All right. I think you need to write fan fiction, Tim, when Conan met Leela and the Doctor. Oh, I could do that. Oh my God. Seriously, a story just popped in my head, but I hate that the plot point of how they meet is a bit of a trope. So, it's going to be magic. It's going to be the same way that, yeah. Oh my God. Can you imagine Leela and Red Sonja going at it? Oh man, that would be, and I mean in a fight, just because there's kids watching. I quit buying trades when I found I could just go online and read anything for free. The Sumerian's saying this. I always prefer reading single issues, of course, but why do you still buy trades? It's just the feel of a paper copy. Because online, they're not going to be there forever. Um, One of the few things I will give Stanley credit for is a quote, and I'm going to assume he came up with it. But I saw an interview where he said comics are like movies. They're great to look at, but they're better in your hand. And another thing is to me, I think reading online comics is just fine. I mean, there's stuff I want to read, but I don't want to buy, and I wish I could borrow some. I mean, it's why libraries are good. But to me, it's at the end of the day, it's just a commercial for the real thing. I think. The other thing is and this is a personal thing, but my thing is like you spend money for a subscription in some places. I know the pirate sites. There's two pirate sites I know. A lot of that's how I read Providence by Alan Moore the first time. Was one of those pirate sites. But the thing is you spend money to own nothing that's in your hand, like a lot of digital media. But with comic books, if you ever decide to make room, where you can get a little bit back, you can make your own little dollar box or something, or have a little yard sale or something. You can get some of that money back. To me, having a subscription, if you have an actual subscription, you're not really having anything. You have something that can go away at any time. And I think we've already seen Disney has been editing their digital content. We have a video game store, a video game company letting you know you will never truly own their game. On digitally now. This stuff start all the things that I thought were going to happen at some point. Other people did too. They're starting to see it more and more. So it just depends. I think if there's something you read and you're really passionate about, you might want to have the physical copy. If it's just light reading, you're just sampling stuff, I think it's great. I know somebody who watched Sleepy Reader's video years ago where he was kind of showing some digital Commandy comic books, and they started digging and realized that there's a whole community here for a while that everybody showed their Commandy number one. They went out and bought Commandy after seeing that one. Let's see what we got here. The Conan looks sweet. There might be an issue missing. I believe it was a repeat. Great stuff. Gotcha. Um, Pointing out singles is tough, but worth it to me. The four letters page, smell, and advertisements. But trades cost while the net is free. Just wondering. Yeah. Like I said, do whatever you need to do. I'm all about the. I have lectured and preached. And if there's one thing I have definitely lectured and preached about over the years on this is don't spend a lot of money on this hobby. You know, I mean, there's at least a solid decade where I never touched my paycheck. It was rotation, flipping books, things like that. Uh, I just remember when comic books went from like 60 cents to 75 cents to 95 cents to $1, 25, $50, 75, all within like 2 years. And I was like, I'm out. I'm not doing this. All right. Any gang? The brain is here. Any Go game covers? Asking for a friend. Your friend should know there are Go game covers inside those epic collections. So, dude, Tim, I would love to read it. I might do it. I also have a Planet of the Apes Creature from the Black Lagoon fanfic that I actually have some sketches I made somewhere years ago where I was doing that. Oh, you're too kind, Gore. You're too kind. Good one, Eric. That's funny. Yeah. Good point. And Sumerian, like I said, that's just my opinion of it, man. My opinion might be bullshit. That's the one thing I can actually say. There's very few things where I think I am on point and I will die on that hill. This isn't one of them. You know what I mean? I think it's your money. I think you're taking the chances. And I just think if there's something you really, really enjoyed reading, you should have your hands on it. Yeah. having access and whatever to this stuff to keep it going is good. That's why I don't come out here, and there's very few things where I'm adamant against. I personally am against grading now, and I'm just laughing my ass off on all the controversy that's coming up because I have said this stuff was going on for years. I don't know what show I was on, but the last time I brought up some CGC stuff, and I was in a group, a show with a group and stuff. I said this. I said that the ability to have oh God, let me think how I worded it. But anyway, the fraud, the ability to have fraud going on with CGC and sending your books and stuff, it's not a tight enough. There's just too much room for greed to come in and have things going. Not to go on a CGC rant now that I'm thinking about it, but I will say this. I've been laughing about it. I feel bad for people that's been ripped off. I think it's hilarious that they're having to sue people that work for them. And I think I saw this company's been around 36 years, and I guarantee this stuff has been going on for years. And I see a lot of people closing their ears and putting their head in the sand because they're too invested in it. They don't want to believe it's true and stuff, right? But I guarantee this is just the tip of the iceberg with the switching of the books, the false grades, switching books in the can, and having to sue people. I said this was going on, and I just remember being in that. I remember the feeling I had when I brought it up in one of these shows that I was on somebody's channel doing, and everybody got quiet. I was just like, okay, all right, I'll just kind of move on. But I think it's been going on for years, and here's why. Here's the thing, right? I don't know if people remember a movie by Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks called Catch Me If You Can, but that was about a counterfeiter, a guy who did counterfeit. He made a living making counterfeit checks and stuff, paychecks and things like that. And this was in the 60s. No internet, no books you go out and buy. He would fill a check, figure out the paper, study it, figure out what to put on the check, and then cleaned up to where the FBI chased him for years. And even after they caught him, he ended up being hired by them to help stop other counterfeiters, right? And this is over checks, federal government, federal checks. He posed in different jobs by learn from TV, supposedly. I refuse to believe that movie is actually a how-to become what that person was. So now we're here in the age of the internet and things like that. And you cannot tell me that people who cannot use the internet, who also have skills in counterfeiting and stuff like that, cannot find a way to get around anything and everything that CGC will ever do. When I saw that CGC drop their prices and stuff, I was like, it's one of the few times where I'm borderline gloating because like I've been saying this for over a decade. So I don't know, man. Josh and I talked about it yesterday, so on our drive, so it's fresh in my mind. But yeah, there's so much going on there. All right. Classic adventure strips are better when read and finally produced hardcover, but just online, not just online. Terry and the Pirates, Prince Valiant, Flash Gordon look great. I don't think. Yes, now you got me thinking. I think seeing Al Williamson, Star Wars and Flash Gordon artwork, seeing EC Comics Wally Wood, I think those need to be seen, and enjoyed right in your hand, like Tom said. Good. That's a great point. Yeah. Agreed, Tom, but that's my preference for Dick Tracy. Yeah, Dick Tracy's some good stuff. So, guys, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to make me some eggs, cook a little bologna, make some toast. I don't know, maybe make some coffee. I don't know, do something. It was a big day yesterday. Yesterday ran from 6 o'clock to, I think, 9 o'clock, 6 in the morning to about 9 o'clock. It was a great day. I was going to go into work today, but I think I'm just going to chill out and I'm going to read some Conan, man. Yeah, so you guys have a great weekend. Be excellent to each other and watch this stuff on the rewind. And we're going to close with whatever Gore Vidal has to say here, man. I'm going to be checking out some Doctor Who later tonight too, Gore, just to let you know. It's on. If you guys have Tubi, they have all the classic Doctor Who episodes on there where it's the 60th anniversary. They have them separated by doctors from 63 to 89. I'm halfway through the Tom Baker stuff. I've been eating it up when I'm home and watch. Tom Bagley. Read Milton Caniff biography and learned his admirers included Orson Welles, John Steinbeck. Oh, wow. Milton Caniff hat. That's amazing. When he was very ill, President Reagan wrote him a letter, different era. Oh, wow. I was not aware of that. And I've heard presidents actually talk about some stuff they were fans of when they were kids, but I didn't know about this about Caniff. That's amazing. Adios, guys. See you guys. Good day. Be excellent each other. And later, guys. Great seeing everybody. Share, like, thumbs, all that stuff. Let people know we're here.